Finding Dan's canoe heartens Jerry. Dan's gear tub rests on the ground beneath his canoe. It is a plastic tub in which Dan keeps his food, clothes, down bag, journal, everything but the tent, which is shared with others in the group. Jerry Wills calls out for Dan, but again there is no response. The bugs are swarming. He looks up at the canoe and knows he is going to need help getting it down. He calls to the tallest scout to follow his voice in, and together they pull the canoe out of the branches, gather Dan's plastic gear tub, and return to the shoreline. He's got to be near Bell, Jerry thinks out loud. It is a sentiment the others share. They decide to paddle to the portage and cross over. About the time Jerry and his two scouts come over the portage, Tim and Sean are returning from their fourth paddle down the Bell Lake shoreline. There has been no sign of Dan. There is a touch of worry, maybe even apprehension, in the quiet way Mr. Wills and Mr. Jones bend over the map. They note where Dan went into the woods. It is an area where the two shorelines curve away from each other. Due south of his entry point, there is nothing but woods and marsh. But they know Dan Stevens wouldn't hike south. If he did, losing the sun in the understory, he could easily correct his direction as soon as he found some open space among the trees. But even if Dan took a rounded course through the trees, he should have appeared somewhere along the Bell Lake shoreline. By now the afternoon is getting on. The two fathers peer at the map, trying to figure out their next move. The unwritten rule in the Quetico is to locate and claim a campsite by 4 p.m. It is not always observed, but under the circumstances, both fathers believe their troop could use a break. They still haven't eaten, and it's late enough to settle down for the day, find some place close where they can keep an eye out for Dan, when he finally comes crashing through those trees. Then, if they have to return and continue searching, there will still be plenty of daylight. They peer at the map. Bell is a beautiful, long, clear stretch of water. Solid red dots indicate campsites. According to the map, midway down Bell's northwestern shoreline, there should be a space among the trees. They are not quite at a vantage point where they can see it, but it should be a relatively short paddle. The fathers decide to ferry their scouts and supplies to the mid-lake site, set up camp, have an early dinner. Everyone is starving. And if Dan still hasn't appeared, Jerry and a couple of the other scouts will return and look for him. They are all still certain of Dan's eventual reappearance. For now it is a momentary glitch in an otherwise remarkable trip. But as the scouts and fathers cross Bell Lake in the afternoon sun, they wonder what happened to their guide.